So as we look at some of the things that Marty talked about, which are very similar to ours, we only do a couple things. So we invest our capital, which is given to us through private equity sources, with real estate investors who are buying houses and rehabbing them, buying houses and holding them, or who have new construction projects. That's it. So all the other cool stuff that Marty does, I'd be happy to refer you to him when you need that. We'll give him a call. But we don't do any of those things, and we're not very good at it. Any questions on that, just to make sure that I put that out there? Yeah.
Real quick. So, especially for the new people that are coming along, I guess we need to explain the difference between a private equity lender and then a bank lending, because they're totally two different entities. How they lend, how they look at the, the asset, and the rates and all this other stuff. So if you could cover that, I think that would be great.
Sure. So banking world is like physics. It has rules. And that's a good thing, because there's boundaries that you put around there to make sure that people don't get screwed like that happened in 2008. There's wonderful reasons to do all that, but then there's this niche where we are, which is private lending, which is a little bit more like the Wild West. We don't have any rules. And for a guy like me, this is a terrific thing, because I'm terrible at rules. I had a background in securities and insurance where there's a few rules for everything you do. So the tremendous difference between these two is that a bank, a financial institution, is going to report a lot of documents, they're going to ask for a lot of documents, they're going to have form documents, and that's to make sure that you're protected as much as the bank is protecting itself from its own greed. We, on the other hand, have gone out and raised capital through private equity sources, which are groups of people who have tons of money and they just want huge profits. And they've said, we like real estate. Can you go lend some money out there? And we've said, sure. How much will you lend us your money? And then what we do is we add more to it and we lend the money. Obviously, that's called arbitrage. It's a much more complicated thing. But the basics of this is I can put together any loan however I want. None of our loans look exactly the same. They have some similarities, but there's no box where I say, here's exactly how we work. It's all dependent on all the different things that Marty had mentioned to you. The FICO store story. Where's the property? All of those things are important. But for us to take that step back, and the biggest difference there is on developing a relationship. We are sort of we're a fraud to some degree. I know I'm not supposed to say that, right? They're getting audience into it. We're a fraud because we're a customer service company, and I'll come back to this at the end. And we sort of mask ourselves as a lending company. Everything we've done to create this $100 million in one spot has been through organic growth, introducing ourselves to people, and developing a relationship. So the first part of this presentation, which is hodgepodge, you'll see me jump around, is your commitment, our goals. On the walls in our office, downtown Chicago, across from the Sears Tower, that big building, they want us to call it the Willis Tower, we have written all sorts of different slogans. So I put 3 of them in here. And on top of that, we give our clients markers. That's right. No, you keep that. And we let them write up on the board. And the things we're looking for aren't, tell me a little bit about the rates and the interest. Tell me a little bit about your credit score. Things we're looking for are, tell me about you and why you're doing this. Raise your hand if you've invested in real estate and it's super easy and you always made money. Jury's my favorite. So we want to know the challenges. What's getting you out of bed in the morning? Why are you waking up and saying, I work 9 to 5 for somebody else 40 hours a week, and I would happily give up some of that money to go work 80 hours a week for myself? I had that conversation with a client. She just didn't want to be an accountant anymore. She didn't care. Or the guy who's a dentist and just really only cares about the people who he has come with from Mexico, who are now in Chicago, putting them to work so that they have money for their families. That's a cool story. And then you've got the person who's like, I just need another Range Rover. That's cool too. There's no right or wrong answers. So when we talk about your goals, our commitment, the first thing that we're going to do is sit down with someone and say, I don't want to talk to you about rates, terms, etc. I know it's important. I get it. But we haven't done a deal yet. So first, let's learn the story about you. That story includes the second part, which is beyond how great our holdings are. Also, what's your FICO score? What's your income? Because that's a story. You might make $20,000 a year, and have $400,000 in the bank. I'd like to know how that happened. It's not an easy task. You might know on your taxes that you take a loss every single year and you don't have any money in the bank, but somehow you drive 8 cars, and I want to know where your safe is. I literally had a guy once tell me, 2 quick stories. One tell me, I have a safe in the back, if you'd like, you can come take a picture of it. And my credit committee said, that's not going to do. So there are those. The other guy said, I asked him, where would be the worst place you would borrow money from? Last place. Don't say me.
Last place I would borrow money from? Family.
Yeah. What about the family? Oh, yeah, right? This guy said, no, I borrow money from Milwaukee. I said, you don't love us. We're a lot easier, right? So our process is exactly that. Learning about you first and foremost. Those are the first 2 legs of it. Find out what your goals are, because those are our commitment. All right? I'm going to turn the page. Marty, maybe you look kind of bad with your technology up here. All right, so focus on the client, all else will follow. As we're going through a conversation with someone, and for those who don't have this, I apologize. What it looks like is a really cool circle called the Circle of Success, which I invented as the cheesiest slogan ever. So what's the Circle of Success? For those of you who've invested in real estate, just shout out. What's a problem you encountered? Doesn't have to do with the loan, doesn't have to do with the property, it can do with anything.
Collecting rents.
Collecting rents. What's another one?
Hidden damages.
Hidden damages. Those happen? What else?
Contractors.
Contractors. One more. Lenders being annoying, right? So we want to take all those things and mitigate the risk as much as possible. Now, if you were going to work with an attorney, would you want to work with a real estate attorney if you're investing in real estate and developing an LLC, or would you like to work with an attorney who primarily, what's your favorite food? Your attorney who works with Allen Brothers Steaks.
Real estate attorney.
Real estate attorney. So when I sit with someone, I'm going to ask them, who's your attorney? If you say, oh, it's my cousin John, he does real estate work, he's fantastic, I'm going to say, awesome, can I meet John? Because I want to introduce him to our clients. If you say it's my cousin John, I think he has a degree, I'm not sure, and he keeps borrowing money from me, I'm going to say, hey, I bet you I could introduce you to someone who could help your business. So a big piece of this is making sure that the client is stabilized in other places besides the loan. Because for us, as Marty said perfectly, we're trying to minimize the risk so we can get the money back, right? Our goal is to get money out and then get it back. It's so easy, right? That's why it's good for a guy like me. Simple. But you're not going to get the money back if people have a bad team around. So you want to make sure that that's there. I think an example that makes a lot of sense is, and this is going to be tough, so it's does anyone here think Schaefer is the worst quarterback? Does anyone think Aaron Rodgers is God and can do no wrong? Only a couple of hands went up, because the truth is these are both pretty phenomenal quarterbacks, seriously, right? Fair? So why is it that the Bears make you cry all the time and your Green Bay Packers are killers? Seriously, what's the difference?
The team.
The team. Jay Cutler gets the ball, and then he gets on the ground with 300 men knocking him over. Aaron Rodgers takes 1 extra second, he throws the ball to someone else. So it's important to have a team around you, and that's why I said it now. All right, so the last thing that's on 3 of our walls. Hustle harder.
Right.
Anybody think real estate requires a little bit of hustle?
Oh, yeah.
Anybody ever lost a deal because they were like, I don't know, an extra $1,000?
Yes.
Anyone? Anyone ever looked at that deal then later and said, well, holy cow, someone made $5,000. That could have been me. Yeah?
Yeah.
So there's a hustle in this real estate game for every single person. So I get it. The terms are important. You're important. Your income's important. Your FICO's important. All these details are important. But the real thing that's important is the hustle. The thing that we've done on our team to say, here's how we're going to hustle, is we've committed to a 10-day closing period on our loan. And I don't want to ever sit up here and beat up a bank because I love banking relationships. I would love to develop nothing more with our next guest, a relationship that is local so that our knowledge of lender can just be better because of what they do. Because if we have money out there with someone, a rehab loan that's only a couple months, and they can come in and give us your money back and you can go do it again, that's a great thing. But I will say that banks often take a little bit longer, and that's okay. What we've done is we put together this and said, if you call us and say, where am I in the process, you're going to know exactly what the answer is. So you have a client advocate assigned to you who's going to walk you through the process. If you don't know where your loan is, and you're not sure if it's going to close on the date that you're supposed to go sit at a title company, and you're dealing with getting harassed by the realtors and the attorneys on the other side or your side, then we screwed up. Everybody needs to get connected. Everybody needs to get together and say, hey, here's where we are today, here's where we need to be, who's in charge, and what's going to happen. And the only way that happens is if you
work as a team.
Someone say hustle.
Hustle.
Thank you. As if you hustle. So, Renovo Financial, right now, has incredibly too much money. You don't hear that a lot, right?
No.
We have too much money. But we're also very cautious about where we're going to put it. So as I said, this is part, as much as me coming out here to tell you about us, it's to learn about you. So part of that is questions and the hands up. Frankly, the amount of people who raise their hands make me say instantly, I'd spend at least a day a week here the next 3 months to try and get our market going. I've driven around, I've seen the opportunities, we've had the conversations, I've been on the MLS, I see what's going on up here, and I think it's a tremendous market. There are $50,000 properties that you can go pick up and put 20 grand into. What can you walk with capital on that?
Make another 30.
Another 30? That doesn't sound horrible. Put up some of your own money and make 30.
If you could do that in a time frame, a decent time frame, with
Yeah.
a decent contractor.
Yeah, with a decent lender. So program terms and rates, etc. Right? These are usually 6 to 12 loan for our rehab loans or construction loans. Those loans are going to require that you bring some money to the table because then you have some skin in the game. That's anywhere from 10 to 20% of your equity contribution of the entirety of the project. So take the purchase price, $75,000, the rehab, $25,000. Easy math, you have to bring
10 to 20.
see how I pick on you. $10 to $20,000. For that period of time, you are going to pay interest on that loan. It is not an amortized period. You're only paying interest on a $100,000 loan on 1% to 1.14% on a monthly basis. So about $1,000 a month on that $100,000 loan until you satisfy the term. Some rich person drives by and says, "I'll buy that from you now." You make 20 grand, you pay us back, or you use the product and sell it and make as much as you thought you would. Some of the vetting ahead of time is on exactly what I said. That who are you? Who are you on paper? That third piece, which is important, is what you consider a hard money loan. Anybody ever heard that before?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is a hard money loan? Anyone have an idea? Sure.
It's a high interest loan. I mean, because it's asset based, so it's they base it on your asset.
Yep.
And loan value is important. Skin in the game. But it's high interest, 15% usually with 5 points down.
Sure. Sound good or bad? Either. Right? It's just it's a product. We've taken that and combined it with the other two to allow us to better underwrite the risk. But a hard money loan only looks at the property itself. Just to give you, that's the easy answer. Don't let anybody trick you and tell you it's even more complicated than that. So as a private lender, we're looking at all those different things so that we can determine what the risk is. One of the things we will do as we work with people is we would like to, I don't remember who asked the question, develop a line of credit with them. I wrote it on the back of Marty's thing. So can I open a revolving line of credit? The answer is, yeah, absolutely, we'd love that. And if you do, and that number is $500,000, $800,000, $1 million, and you are consistently at that $400,000 mark, we internally, with all 33 of us, are going to be calling you and saying, "Hey, look, you got like $600,000 to spend. What are you doing? You want some money?" We would love you to go spend it. So it's as much us sitting there as a business partner trying to help you as much as it is saying, yeah, sure, you've got the cap. Then answer the question who asked about revolving credit. There, good. How do we base the amount of the loan? So you heard these words, LTVs, LTCs, ARVs. I don't know what any of those mean.
Yes.
Loan to value.
Loan to value,
After
loan to
repair
cost,
value.
after repair value. Okay, let's not worry about those because those are the specifics that the really smart people in my office handle, right? They're the ones determining what those are. For the most part, we're going to look at the opportunity and first and foremost say, can you make money? A little back of the napkin math. Take the purchase price, the rehab price, divide it by the after repair value, what you think it's going to be worth. That number is somewhere between, let's say, 55 and 75. You probably have a decent deal. Can someone repeat that for me? Because I just, it's so easy. Purchase price plus
repair costs
divided by.
after repair value.
And if that number is somewhere between, then
You'll give us money.
so at what rate are we going to give you the money? Is more complicated. That's those three things. That's the
Story.
and that's the.
Team.
This is the
House. Can you do Ohio too? Oh, yeah.
yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Portfolio loans. Do you have a bunch of properties? You either own them, you bought them cash, you have 5-year arms, and the bank says we're going to change the rate at some point. Braeden, can I have some money at a fixed rate over 30 years on a 30-year amortization schedule with a 1-year prepayment penalty and takes half of my properties that are in a portfolio?
Yes.
Yes. Who asked the portfolio question? Did that answer it?
Yeah, I was thinking more on the purchase side.
Sure. Both on the purchase and on the refinance side. Yep. So we do 3 things. What are they? Rehab, new construction,
And
and
buy and holds.
buy and hold investors. So that's what our requirements are. I think just as Mark said, I'll echo this. And in the lending business, if you're not looking at the story, you're just checking the approve or the decline box, and you're saying you have to have a 640, if you have a 639, you're out, then you are doing yourself a disservice. The person with a 620 credit score here, who got divorced 3 years ago, who was fighting with their husband and didn't pay the mortgage 1 month, and took on some debt, is different than the person here who said, I don't know, I just didn't feel like paying my credit cards. That's a different story. This one's real, it's tangible, that's happened as recently as this week, and this one has also happened as recently as this week, and one of them has money. So requirements are subjective to a lot of things, but we'd like to see that you have some income so you can pay the interest along the way. If you don't, we're going to put it in the loan, so you don't have to pay it along the way. We'd like to see that you have a good credit history so that we know you're not just somebody who's going to take the money and then get out of here. I'm sure we want to see that you have some money in the bank for what are called reserves. Anybody know what a reserve is?
Yes.
$2? So money in the bank is a good thing for a lot of reasons. You heard the word draws. Can anyone explain what a draw is to me, just in lay terms? I'm sorry? Yeah, right? A construction draw. Someone?
You only release the funds when a certain amount of work is done.
Does everyone get that? Like if you haven't done a project and you know it's going to cost $50,000 and I say I'm going to lend you that $50,000, but first you have to spend $10,000 of your money to get $10,000 of my money. That's confusing, right? No? Good. We don't think so either. It just makes sense that otherwise you could take that 50 grand and just run off to Tahiti. Instead, we're going to come out and we're going to within 48 hours wire